Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow concerned parents. Who would have ever thought that the term hot coffee could be sexual or even lascivious? Wasn't it not long ago that hot coffee was simply known as one of the world's most popular beverages? Today, however, the term hot coffee implicates something more, and according to Coffer, 2005 has recently become a euphemism for sex. Now, what does hot coffee have to do with any of this, you might ask? Well, the term hot coffee refers to a modified sequence in the highly popular video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, one of the most successfully marketed video games of all time, with over 35 million copies sold and worldwide distribution aiming at around $2 billion. Now, the hot coffee sequence is merely one minor perk, so to speak, for sexual intercourse, amidst all the other wonderful rewards for graphic killing and car thieving in the game. Grand Theft Auto might be just one of many of the favorite games of your children in their gaming collections, even now. It, like many video games, is teeming with graphic sex and oozing with violence. Interactive violence. But gaming's just something young people do to pass the time. They're merely games, right? Wrong. Although video games are designed to be entertaining, challenging, and sometimes educational, most include violent content. According to Children Now 2001, as many as 89% of games contain some violent content, half of which includes serious violent content toward other game characters. Now, as father to 3 children who love and constantly play video games, I have been horrified to learn through my extensive research that our youth is exposed to all sorts of explicit and violent media content, and this is having a profound effect on society at large. How, you might ask? Well, aren't these video games just entertainment? Indeed not, and today I hope to convince you all that exposure to graphic video violence is directly connected with aggressive and violent behaviors. Now, interactive scenes of graphic violence desensitizes our children with scenes of blood and gore, and unlike other media formats such as television and film, which are viewed passively, your children and mine are participating in a virtual maelstrom of violent behaviors. Now, while the causes of behavior are complex, Richardson Calvert, 2005, argue that violence in society today is more vivid than in the past and is influenced to some extent by ever more realistic games, causing violent criminal activity such as assaults and robberies to spill over into real life. The Surgeon General, in a 2001 report actually on youth violence, concluded that children are more susceptible to behavioral influences while actively participating in violent games than when simply observing. This, according to Mitchell and Sugar, 2009, was confirmed by the Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, which concluded that they can become numb to the horror of violence and will gradually accept violence as a way to solve problems and may imitate the violence that they see. Now, it's been suggested that this obsession with violent video games has spawned a number of infamous murder cases around the globe, ranging from Columbine, Colorado's 1999 massacre, which 2 high school students went out with knives and guns and explosives and slaughtered 13 people, and a 19-year-old in Germany who left 17 people dead by gunfire. In both cases, it resulted in suicide. Now, pioneering brain research done recently at the National Institutes of Health shows that the teenage brain isn't fully developed, which is explaining the link connecting violent games to physical aggression, and this is claimed by David Walsh, as reported in Fager 2005. Mr. Walsh is a child psychiatrist who co-authored a study on the connection of violence and aggression. Says Walsh, and I quote, "The teenage brain is different from the adult brain. The impulse control center of the brain, the part that enables us to think ahead, consider consequences, and manage urges, that's the part of the brain right behind our forehead called the prefrontal cortex. That's under construction during the teen years. In fact, the wiring that isn't complete until the early 20s, unquote." According to Sanders, page 14, 2009, here in the United States, politicians have become actively involved in this debate, and just over a year ago, on January 7, 2009, the House of Representatives introduced a bill requiring that violent video games carry these words: "Warning, excessive exposure to violent video games and other violent media has been linked to aggressive behavior." The government passing mandate legislation on video games should give concerned parents pause for concern. Why would they impart such drastic measures? One might wonder if games were so harmless. So, what can we do to fix this problem? Well, first I might check when you go to buy the games, check the video rating to see anything that has sexual or graphic content and not buy those games. And then we need to sit and talk to our children about making informed decisions about the proper games, encouraging them to choose carefully and not to cave into peer pressure. It might also be a good idea to monitor how much time they're devoting to gameplay, which could otherwise be spent following more constructive, positive pursuits and activities. And when you've selected a game, which your entire family can agree on, wouldn't it really be wonderful to sit there together as a family and play together? Now, this teenager named Devin Moore, according to Fager 2005, went on a rampage in June of 2003 and killed 3 men, 2 of which were police officers and 1 police dispatcher. A lawsuit in Alabama was filed against the makers and marketers of Grand Theft Auto, claiming that Devin acted as a direct result of months and months of playing the game. Now, the victims' families are going after the creators and distributors of the game because they believed it trained Moore to be a killer. And after his capture, Moore was quoted as saying, "Life is like a video game. Everybody's gonna die sometime." Now, the important question to ask is this training happening in your living room? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.